like home.
Warner Home Video is proud to present this extended version of The Wizard of Oz.
Many, many miles east of nowhere lies the amazing land of Oz, a magnificent empire created in the mind of a man who wrote a great book about it. Like wildfire in the wheat field, the fabulous tale of the Wizard of Oz spread from town to city, to nation, to the entire world.
The Wizard of Oz. More people have seen it than any other movie. Over 1 billion of them. It's probably the most beloved movie ever made in any language.
Vamos, vengan a pelear. ¿Quién será el primero? Pelearé con los dos si quieren.
Oh, des lions, des tigres et des panthères. Oh mon Dieu, des lions, des tigres et des panthères. Oh mon Dieu, des lions, des tigres et des panthères. Oh mon Dieu.
Und das merkt ihr, mein feines Kind. Es ist wahr, ich kann leider hier nicht auf dich lauern. Aber hüte dich, kreuze nie meinen Weg. Wenn du es wagst, dann gehörst du mir, mein kleines Schätzchen, und dein Hund auch.
A film historian has noted that the enduring magic of The Wizard of Oz touches not only our children, but the child in all of us. The enchantment is easy to explain. The movie's sentiments are universal. Its timelessness, that of any great classic. Those who created this work came as near to perfection as anyone could ask. This is part of a missing number from The Wizard of Oz. Why it is missing will be explained as we share the reminiscences of many who were part of the fascinating history of Oz. Backstage, there was confusion, chaos, and often danger. Now, for the first time, you're going to learn this remarkable story told by those who participated in the making of a movie classic.
I had to work with 3 very professional men, you know, Jack Haley and Burt Lauer and Ray Bozer. And they had so much makeup on. And they were so busy complaining about their makeups. And each one was making bets as to which makeup was the most difficult all the way through the picture.
I thought that she was the most adorable creature that was ever put on this earth. And so right for the part of Dorothy. She was just like a little girl from Kansas. With great big eyes. She wasn't pretty, just plump, but in a way she was beautiful.
I'm frightened, Annie, I'm frightened.
I think she holds the whole picture together. Her sincerity that she wants to get back to Kansas. You believe her. She wants to get home to her Aunt Em and so forth. And that was the whole hub of the picture.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. You'll find he is a whiz of a whiz, if ever a whiz there was. If ever, oh, ever a whiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
How The Wizard of Oz became a national heritage is a really fascinating story. It all began in 1900 when L. Frank Baum published his classic children's book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Nearly 40 years later, the man indirectly responsible for bringing Oz to the screen was none other than Walt Disney. His Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is not only 1938's biggest hit, it is the most successful movie ever made to that date. This fact does not go unnoticed by other movie moguls, especially Louis B. Mayer, the highest paid executive in America. He reigns supreme at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, a studio that boasts it has more stars than there are in the heavens. When it's suggested that MGM acquire the rights to The Wizard of Oz, Mayer is interested, but he has a problem. His brilliant head of production, Irving Thalberg, has passed away over a year ago. Mayer has been desperately searching for a successor and finally finds him. Mervyn LeRoy, a bright 38-year-old producer-director, seems the perfect choice. LeRoy accepts, and coincidentally, one of the first projects he proposes is Oz.
Well, I always wanted to make The Wizard of Oz since I was a little boy. Mr. Mayer called me in and said, look, why don't you just produce this picture? You're so crazy about it. And I said, but LB, I want to direct this picture too. He said, well, I think it's too big for you to do both. But I produced it and I'm very proud of it.
To produce a motion picture this complex, LeRoy definitely needs help. He takes on songwriter Arthur Freed as an uncredited associate. Years later, as a producer, Freed's name would become synonymous with the golden years of the MGM musicals. But at this moment, his biggest job is to help LeRoy cast the picture. She has been the biggest star in the world for the past 4 years, and many think Shirley Temple is the natural choice to play the role of Dorothy. LeRoy is under pressure to cast her. However, after hearing Shirley sing at an unofficial audition, LeRoy and Freed decide the demands of the part are beyond the talents of even this amazing 10-year-old. From the age of 2.5, when young Judy Garland began her vaudeville career as part of the Gum Sisters Kitty Act, she had been billed as the little girl with the great big voice.
In my singing stool, I am one of many.
By the time she is 15 years old, her name has been changed from Frances Gum to Judy Garland. And she has been under contract to MGM for almost 3 years. She can sing and dance, she can play drama or comedy. Anyone in Hollywood who has seen her perform at benefits or private parties knows Judy Garland is destined for stardom. LeRoy and Freed convince Mayer that Oz could be her breakthrough. Judy must lose some weight, but the part of Dorothy is hers. At 22, she was the toast of Broadway. At 29, Billy Burke married Florence Ziegfeld, living a life of luxury worthy of a fairy tale princess. Then in her 50s, Billy Burke begins a successful Hollywood career playing rich, feather-brained matrons. Oz is Burke's favorite movie. As close as I have come, she says, to the kind of roles I did in the theater.
I'm Glinda, the Witch of the North. You are? Oh, I beg your pardon, but I've never heard of a beautiful witch before. Only bad witches are ugly.
The casting for the Wicked Witch causes a major controversy and has everyone at MGM going in circles. Frank Baum's concept in the original book, as illustrated by W.W. Denslow, isn't much help. But Mervyn LeRoy has an idea. Since Disney's glamorous Wicked Queen in Snow White is so successful, why not make the Wicked Witch slinky and seductive? Freed and other executives protest. LeRoy's mind is made up. On the MGM lot is Gail Sundergaard, who the year before had won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in Anthony Adverse, a film directed by Mervyn LeRoy. LeRoy persuades Sundergaard to test for the role. Decked out in stylish black sequins with a form-fitting wardrobe to match, she is a knockout. Freed and the others are exasperated. Bad witches are ugly, they remind LeRoy, like Disney's old crone in Snow White. So LeRoy orders the makeup department to give Sundergaard the ugly treatment. But her striking features defy the grease paint, and the distinguished actress decides she doesn't want the role. In those days, I was not about to make myself ugly, she says. I have no regrets. Absolutely no regrets.
Then you take it and bring it up to your kisser and inhale.
A former kindergarten teacher, Margaret Hamilton, is 36 years old and newly divorced. She has been supporting herself and her 3-year-old son as a hard-working character actress.
Chicken thieves, eh?
Why, we'll gladly pay you for any damage that we've done.
All right, $3.
So I'd done about 6 pictures for MGM by that time. And one day my agent called and said, Maggie, he said, they're really kind of interested in you. And I said, what for? He said, they're sort of interested in you for a part in The Wizard of Oz. And I said, oh, gosh, think of that. I said, I loved that story from the time I was 4 years old. What is it? And he said, well, the witch. And I said, the witch? And he said, then he said the final thing. He said, yes, what else?
The title role of the wizard encourages many diverse contenders. Ed Wynn, a popular radio comedian who concludes the part is too small. Wallace Beery, one of MGM's most popular stars, wants the role badly, but the studio refuses to spare him during the long Oz schedule. And W.C. Fields. Everyone at MGM is impressed by his recent triumph in David Copperfield, but Fields haggles endlessly over his salary and time runs out. One of MGM's most durable character actors, 48-year-old Frank Morgan, finally wins the role, or rather 5 of them. He is delightfully versatile as the Wizard, Professor Marvel, the Doorman, the Cabbie, and the Guard.
This is the last straw.
Everyone's favorite choice to play the Cowardly Lion is Bert Law, Broadway's leading clown, known for his explosive comedy style.
$3,000? Huh, we're rich, we're rich, we're rich!
Shame on you!
What did you do that for? I didn't buy them.
No, but you tried to.
He had been a bank clerk, a vacuum cleaner salesman, and an accountant. Not the usual background for an acclaimed Broadway star. Now under contract to MGM, Ray Bolger is thrilled to learn he will be in Oz, until he finds out that he is to play the Tin Man.
I was angry. I was really upset. I loved the thought of being the Scarecrow, and I could not imagine anybody else playing the part. And I could do all the kinds of steps that I wanted to do, and there was something else. I don't know, I had a feeling if I could play this part, it would make a star out of me. And then my wife and I went up to Mr. Mayor's office, and we fought and fought and fought, and I finally won out.
This extraordinary dance routine, directed by the inventive Busby Berkeley, makes brilliant use of Ray Bolger's unique style. Unfortunately, at the last moment, fearing the picture is running too long, the studio decides to cut the number. Recently discovered in the MGM vaults, it raises the question, how long is too long?
Gosh, it would be awful pleasing to reason out the reason for things I can't explain. Then perhaps I'll deserve you and be even worthy of you if I only had a brain.
Judy Garland dances with another veteran of the theater, 30-year-old Buddy Epson. He has been under contract to MGM for 4 years and doesn't mind at all when he is switched from the Scarecrow to the Tin Man. But his dream assignment turns into a nightmare. They put aluminum dust all over my makeup, recalls Epson, and this aluminum dust got into the air and pretty soon my lungs were coated with it. One night I took a breath and nothing happened. They got an ambulance for me and got me down to the hospital. While Epson begins months of recuperation from his near-fatal illness, MGM announces he will be replaced with no further explanation. Epson considers this as the worst personal and professional disaster he ever endured. Epson's replacement is Broadway and movie star Jack Haley. On loan from 20th Century Fox, he knows nothing of Ebsen's calamity, but Haley's makeup has been quietly changed from aluminum powder to aluminum paste.
Camera's ready. Sound is ready. Places, everybody. Quiet, please. All right, Bill, turn him over. Speed.
Playback.
1, 2, 3.
We out to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Here he is, a wizard of a wiz, if ever a wiz there was.
After weeks of uncertainty, cameras start to turn. But the troubles of Oz have only just begun.
The wonderful things he does.
The man who invented Oz, with all its colorful characters, has a life story almost as improbable as his creations. In 1856, Lyman Frank Baum is born to a wealthy family in upstate New York. But once on his own, success seems to elude him. He fails as a store manager, reporter, and traveling salesman. In 1898, his mother-in-law inspires him to write a children's story based on the fantastic tales he constantly invents to entertain his 4 sons and their friends. But first, Baum needs a title.
One day, he was sitting at his desk and looking at his filing cabinet, and the first drawer was A to N, and the second drawer was O to Z, which would be Oz. But that would be an excellent title for the imaginary land.
Oz becomes a publishing sensation with the first 14 volumes written by Baum. The successful author moves to Hollywood, where he writes, produces, and directs several Oz silent films, but typically his company loses money. Baum remains in Hollywood, turning out a new Oz book every year. His favorite pastime is puttering in his garden under the warm California sun. When L. Frank Baum dies in 1919 at the age of 62, a critic writes, "The children of the world have lost their dearest friend." This is a first edition of L. Frank Baum's original Oz adventure. It's over 90 years old now, but the story's as fresh, lively, and imaginative as the day it was written. By 1938, over 10 million Oz books had been sold, captivating 4 generations of children. At MGM, the question was how to bring this classic to the screen without destroying its magical qualities. Well, it finally required the combined efforts of 14 writers and 5 directors to capture Baum's vision on film. The screenplay is credited to 3 writers, Florence Ryerson, Edgar Allan Wolfe, and a young man who deserves most of the praise. 26-year-old Noel Langley contributes key elements to the script. He changes Dorothy's shoes from silver to ruby. He establishes the fantasy characters as hired hands on the Kansas farm, and he inspires Dorothy to realize there's no place like home. 2 young men from Broadway are assigned to write the songs for Oz. Harold Arlen will compose the music. E.Y. Yip Harburg will create the lyrics and make important contributions to the script and casting of the film. Harold Arlen recalls the birth of the most popular song from their score.
We had finished most of the songs, or all of the songs, but the one for Judy in Kansas. And I knew what I wanted, but when it doesn't come, it becomes one of those things that bugs you. And most of us don't like to be bugged. I said to myself, let's go to Grauman's Chinese. And I said, you drive the car. I don't feel too well right now. I wasn't thinking of work. And as we drove by Schwab's drugstore, I said, pull over. And we stopped. And I took out my little piece of manuscript and put down what you know now is Over the Rainbow. Of course, it needed Mr. Harburg's lyric.
An arid, colorless place. Almost no flowers there because it's so dry. The only thing in her life that was colorful at that point was, I thought, the rainbow. It was the only thing of color that she had ever seen. So I said, I must have a song with rainbow in it.
Bluebirds
She didn't sit there and say, all right, watch this. I'm going to really blow you away with this. This was just a song in a film, and her performance is the reason. It's the most perfect marriage of a song and an artist that's ever been.
When Mama sang Over the Rainbow, she believed in the sentiment of the song with all of her heart. That's why whenever you hear the song, even today, you think of her. It was that personal.
If happy little bluebirds fly.
It sounds inconceivable, but Over the Rainbow is cut from the film after the second preview. It slows down the picture, some executives complain, and they consider it undignified for an MGM star to sing in a barnyard. But good sense finally prevails, and the song is restored. While the movie shuts down to recast Buddy Ebsen's part, Mervyn LeRoy studies the results of the first 2 weeks of shooting. LeRoy feels that director Richard Thorpe's footage lacks the childlike quality the film needs, and Thorpe is reassigned. Director George Cukor has a few days open before starting Gone with the Wind and agrees to help out. He too is appalled at what he sees. He begins altering makeup and costumes for many of the principals. Cukor particularly dislikes Judy Garland's appearance. He takes off her curly blonde wig and half of her makeup. And, he recalls, I told her to remember that she's just a little girl from Kansas. George Cukor departs, never realizing how valuable his unsung efforts will be to the final film. And now LeRoy makes a surprising decision. He chooses Victor Fleming to take over. Now, Fleming is a tough-talking, no-nonsense director who goes biking and big game hunting with his buddy, Clark Gable. Despite this macho image, Fleming finds the project irresistible. I made the film, he says, because I wanted my two little girls to see a picture that searched for beauty and decency and sweetness and love in the world. Fleming works tirelessly on this difficult project. Then only a few weeks before completion, he is abruptly summoned to the Selznick studios. There is trouble in Tara. On the Gone with the Wind set, Clark Gable and George Cukor are barely speaking. Gable threatens to quit unless producer David O. Selznick borrows his pal Victor Fleming. Selznick gets MGM to agree. Cukor is out and Fleming is in. King Vito, one of Hollywood's finest filmmakers, will provide the finishing touches on Oz.
Sometimes we'd being in the studio and knowing the director, and the studio would ask you to take over. And so then they said, well, would you take over Wizard of Oz? I said I would, and I went over, and Victor Fleming was a good friend and took me around all the sets and went through the thing. And one day he left, and I took over. It was about, as I remember, it was about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks possibly, which included Somewhere Over the Rainbow. But I did not want any credit, and as long as Victor was alive, I even kept quiet about it.
Another element of Oz falls into place when over 100 little people march into MGM, the first and last time that such a unique gathering would take place. They are billed as the Singer Midgets, but many are freelancers from vaudeville and circuses all over the world. Only a few are rowdy, most are enthusiastic, and studio workers will never forget them. Munchkin memories are very special. The young man in the middle is Jerry Marin.
We represent the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, and in the name of the Lollipop Guild,
we wish to welcome you to Munchkin Land. And that's when I handed Judy Garland the lollipop.
As coroner, I must...
Well, when we met the casting director, he took a look at us and he picked about 8 of us to say the lines of the Munchkin coroner. I probably enunciated a little bit more distinctly or more emphatically than some of the others. So he says, okay, you're the coroner. And then, of course, Adrian, the gentleman who is in charge of costumes, measured every single Munchkin and designed an individual costume for each person, so that it took the costume department about 5 weeks to make up all these costumes, during which time we were rehearsing. So as soon as the costumes were ready, we're ready to start shooting. Jack Dawn took each one of us and said, well, now what is your part? What are your lines? And then he would put on a makeup for us. And then as soon as he was finished with us, they would take a still shot, and that was put in the files. And then each other Munchkin who had a speaking part was likewise done a master makeup by Jack Dawn and put in the file, so that when we were ready to shoot, all they had to do was take that picture out of the file, and one of the assistant makeup men would put on the same whiskers and beard, and so that we would be to have the same appearance every day that we were on the set.
He's known as Leo the Lion's best friend. A. Arnold Gillespie, everyone calls him Buddy, is Hollywood's dean of special effects. And Oz presents him with his greatest challenge. Buddy Gillespie must create a dazzling array of special effects, many of them never before attempted. A floating farmhouse and a floating head. A melting witch and flying monkeys. Fireballs, talking trees, and a terrifying tornado. Ever wonder how this special effect was accomplished? Gillespie drops a miniature farmhouse from the top of a soundstage. He shoots it in slow motion and later will reverse the film so the farmhouse appears to be falling into the camera. The floor of the soundstage is painted to look like a Kansas sky with some dry ice vapor for clouds. The most astonishing illusions often have the simplest explanations. Buddy Gillespie reveals his solution to a spectacular effect no one has ever tackled before.
The Wizard of Oz, of course, presented a lot of very, very interesting problems, and the tornado was one of the toughest, naturally, that we had faced. We didn't quite know what to do. But anyway, the tornado was finally resolved by building a funnel type of thing out of muslin, and we put the top part of the thing on a gantry that moved the full length of the stage. And the lower part of the tornado was went into a slope in the floor with an S sort of a path, and it progressed towards the camera with a dustpan with Fuller's Earth, which gave the cloud of dust at the bottom, and the tornado was about 30 some odd feet in length.
Composer Harold Arlen's home movies provide the only backstage glimpse of the stars of Oz, all of whom managed to keep their spirits up despite long hours, intense heat, and uncomfortable wardrobe and makeup.
A lot of people ask me about the costumes. I had a rubber mask. The only unfortunate thing about it was that it sort of closed the pores in my face. And when the lights got real hot and they ate up all the oxygen, I couldn't breathe. But worst of all is Bert Lahr. His costume was 90 pounds. What a perfectly ridiculous kind of costume to put on a fellow like Bert Lahr, because Bert Lahr was a nervous type. Bert Lahr, he was always undoing the buttons. He always had gas on his stomach. He couldn't eat anything. And in his costume, it was literally true. He couldn't eat anything.
In a film that is breaking new ground, there are all sorts of unexpected accidents and injuries. For Margaret Hamilton, Oz is a frightening experience that she will always remember.
It was the end of my first scene of the picture. And she whirls around and stands on this little elevator that went down slowly or went down fast. In this case, it dropped out from under me. It left my feet and I followed it. And it went just like clockwork, and that's the one you see. The first one we did. Then we came back from lunch, and everybody again is tired. It was all just one mistake after another. And I stepped down, the smoke all came up, and I went down. I felt just something warmth on my face. And then there were some dropping things burning, and I thought, what in the world is that? I had a wonderful young man, Jack Young, who really saved my life. He was right there and grabbed a hold of me, and we ran to the first aid station on the set, and where he began working on my face to get the makeup off. We didn't know this until really the next day, but I had a 2nd degree on my face and 3rd on my hand. After he got the makeup off, which was very traumatic for me because it was just it hurt so much. I was just, you sort of tremble. You just can't help it. I was just shaking with it. And finally he got through and he said, "Oh, I know it's been awful, honey." He said, "But I'll tell you about it. Right now I want you to know that there's copper in that makeup. And if I didn't get that off, it would have gone on eating into your face."
The house began to pitch, and the kitchen took a switch.
The legends of Munchkin mischief begin almost immediately. Most stories are greatly exaggerated. Some are true.
When we were doing the picture, they tried to restrict us because, don't forget, you got about 125 midgets, and they were all curious. And there were two brothers. They were a little bit drunky, but not on the set, though, believe it or not. There was one other little gentleman. He drank quite a bit, but he was very quiet. We worked 6 days a week, from 5 in the morning till about 6 in the evening. The only day they had off was Sunday. So it was 90% fabrication. It makes for good copy, I guess.
Judy Garland's children, Liza Minnelli and Joey and Lorna Luft, have personal insights into the Munchkin adventures. The stories proliferate with their mother's occasional appearances on the Jack Parr TV show.
Whenever we do that little dance up the yellow brick road,
Yeah, I remember that.
I was supposed to be with them.
Yeah. They crowd you out.
They'd shut me out. They'd close in the three of them, and I would be in back of them dancing. I wasn't good enough, to say, "Wait a minute." Now, and so the director, Victor Fleming, was a darling man. He was always up on a boom. Would say, "Hold it, you three dirty hams! Let that little girl in there."
Another tall tale by Judy Garland.
Anybody who really knew her knew what a funny, bright, witty raconteur she was, and her vocabulary was immense. And she had a way of telling a story. She could change anything. So anything that she talked about would become an epic joke, almost. And we used to love to listen to her. And she did that several times, telling stories about the Wizard of Oz. And they have since passed into myth. I mean, people believe a lot of the things that she has told, which in fact, we know are not true.
New Year's Day, 1939. The Wizard of Oz still has 3 more months of shooting, but the MGM publicity department is wasting no time. An elaborate float makes a grand appearance in the Tournament of Roses parade, and thousands of children get an eye-popping look at their Oz fantasy characters come to life. Judy Garland endures an endless barrage of interviews, radio shows, and silly newsreel appearances.
It's a double privilege, Selma and Jeanette, to be able to congratulate you on being elected co-presidents of the Twins Club of Greater New York.
Thank you, Judy.
Get on your mark! Get set! Go!
Even Judy Garland's 17th birthday party becomes a public event. She and Mickey Rooney are the newest rage among teenage moviegoers, and their boss, Louis B. Mayer, is well aware of it. The studio sends Judy and Mickey to New York to open the film. As innocent commuters scramble for their trains, Grand Central Station becomes a madhouse. The much-publicized arrival causes a near riot. 10,000 screaming fans are held back by an emergency squad of 250 patrolmen and 25 detectives hastily summoned to maintain order. But despite the heat and the bedlam, Mickey and Judy survive. When the Capitol Theater opens its doors, over 15,000 people are in line, circling the entire block. After each screening of Oz, Mickey and Judy perform a specially prepared musical comedy act. Garland and Rooney and Oz break all attendance records in one of the most successful launchings of a film in history. In 1939, 85 million Americans go to the movies at least once a week. Now that's an incredible 65% of the population. But what a selection they have. Most movie critics and film historians agree that in 1939, Hollywood produced more classic films than it did in any other year. Gone with the Wind sets box office records that will stand for decades. But The Wizard of Oz, MGM's costliest film to date, loses money in its first release. Yet there's still a chance for glory. Oscar night, February 29th, 1940. This evening, the rivalry is especially strong. Academy voters have been presented with a nearly impossible task: how to choose the winner when there are so many winners. Oz has garnered an unexpected 5 nominations, including Best Picture. But Gone with the Wind, boasting a total of 13 nominations, is the odds-on favorite. It would appear that David O. Selznick and Vivien Leigh are shoo-ins in their respective categories. Still, the Oscars have always been an evening of surprises, and the other nominees pray for a miracle. Master of Ceremonies Bob Hope sets the tone for the evening.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Really, I think this is a wonderful thing, a benefit like this for David Selznick, and I want to tell you...
No one is really surprised when Selznick's team dominates the ceremonies with an unprecedented 8 Academy Awards, including Best Director for Victor Fleming, who probably would have been nominated for Oz had he not also directed Gone with the Wind. Ironically, it's Fleming's other producer, Mervyn LeRoy, who presents his Oscar, but Oz is not altogether out of the running. Herbert Stothart wins for his brilliant musical scoring, and Harburg and Arlen win for their song, Over the Rainbow. As the evening winds down, the most requested song is Over the Rainbow, reminding both winners and losers that there are new dreams they can dare to dream. But not a soul in this room can possibly conceive what the future holds for the Wizard of Oz.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
After its initial release, Oz would appear occasionally through several reissues and kiddie matinees. And then in 1956, along came television. For the first 2 decades, most viewers could only see it in black and white, which didn't stop the millions who had never seen it before from falling under its spell. You know, it's interesting how you can watch a bad movie, and once is enough. In the case of The Wizard of Oz, 100 times may not be enough.
Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me.
For the next 30 years, Judy Garland makes successful appearances all over the world, and memories of the Wizard of Oz are never far away. No performance would be complete without Garland singing Over the Rainbow. In a letter to Harold Arlen, Judy writes, "Over the Rainbow has become part of my life. It's so symbolic of everybody's dreams and wishes that I'm sure that's why some people get tears in their eyes when they hear it. I've sung it thousands of times, and it's still the song that's closest to my heart."
Why, oh, why can't
Oz succeeded in spite of its chaotic creative process. The fate somehow uniting those who cared about the project, those who were more than capable at their jobs, those who were genuinely proud of their work. The film that we enjoy so much is the happy result of their collaborative efforts. So let's all say thank you to them, and keep these marvelous talents in mind the next time you and I watch the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Let's get out of here. Look, Emerald City is closer and prettier than ever.
Out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're out of the night. Step into the sun, step into the light. Keep straight ahead for the most glorious place on the face of the earth or the sky. Step into the sun, step into the light, march up to the gate and build it. Obey, obey.
Who rang that bell?
In preparation for the film's Grauman Chinese premiere, this unique teaser trailer was created. What follows is the film's original release trailer, as amended for the 1949 theatrical reissue.
Many, many miles east of nowhere lies the amazing land of Oz, a magnificent empire created in the mind of a man who wrote a great book about it. Like wildfire in the wheat field, the fabulous tale of the Wizard of Oz spread from town to city, to nation, to the entire world. Although the Wizard of Oz has captivated the children of 4 generations and fired the imaginations of those youthful adults who have never grown old, although 10 million copies of the book have reached eager hands and eager hearts, no one has dared the towering task of giving life and reality to the land of Oz and its people. Every delightful character of L. Frank Baum's classic is now reborn. Every glorious adventure has been recaptured and painted with a rainbow. The celebration in Munchkin Land, the flying monkeys, the rescue of Dorothy, the castle of the witch, the palace of Oz, and Dorothy's strange journey to the Emerald City to find the wonderful Wizard of Oz himself.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he is the Wizard of Wiz, if ever a Wiz there was. If ever a Wiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Perhaps the most famous deleted scene from The Wizard of Oz was the Jitterbug dance.
Take your army to the haunted forest and bring me that girl and her dog. Do what you like with the others, but I want her alive and unharmed. They'll give you no trouble, I promise you that. I've sent a little insect on ahead to take the fight out of them. Take special care of those ruby zippers. I want those most of all. Now fly! Fly!
Although the actual footage no longer exists, composer Harold Arlen's behind-the-scenes home movies offer us portions of the sequence in rehearsal. The Jitterbug itself was a pink and blue mosquito-like creature sent by the Wicked Witch in advance of the attack of the winged monkeys.
I've sent a little insect on ahead to take the fight out of them.
Did you just hear what I just heard?
That noise don't come from no ordinary bird.
It may be just a cricket or a critter in the trees.
It's giving me the jitters and the joints around my knees.
Oh, I think I see a jijig, and he's fuzzy and he's furry. I haven't got a brain, but I think I ought to worry.
I haven't got a heart, but I got a palpitation.
This Monica the Forest, I don't like the situation.
Are you going to stand around and let them fill us full of horror?
I'd like to roar them down. But I think I lost my roarer. It's a who'ses. It's a who'ses? It's a what'ses. It's a what'ses? Who's that? Who's there? Who's that?
Who's that? Who's that hiding in the treetops? It's that rascal, the Jitterbug. Should you catch him buzzing around you, keep away from the Jitterbug. Oh, the bats
bats and the bees and the breeze in the trees have a terrible, horrible buzz. But the bats and the bees and the breeze in the trees couldn't do what the jitterbug does. So be careful of that rascal. Keep away from
The jitterbug. Oh, the jitter. Oh, the bug. Oh, the jitter. In the twitter. In the throw. Oh, the critters got to be dancing on 1,000 toes. Ah, she blows.
We hope you have enjoyed this digitally remastered version of The Wizard of Oz, the greatest family classic of all time.